let's get into troubleshooting a few things with this stove. And the stove is actually very simple in the way that it operates. To get this side panel off, and this is probably the side you'll do most of your work on, the other side has the combustion motor. Simply loosen up these 3 hex screws in the back with a 3/8 or 10mm socket. Lift it over the screws. You don't have to remove the screws, just loosen them up and then remove the panel. On this side we have our room blower, we have our daughter board controller, the motherboard is located down here. This wire goes up to our hopper lid switch, and this down here is our vacuum switch. So the number one problem that people with this stove are going to have is it not feeding. And it doesn't happen all the time, it doesn't happen very much, but when it does happen, it's usually, most all of the time, having to do with the hopper lid switch. Let me show you how to troubleshoot this feed system here really quick. If your stove's not feeding, this is how you're going to troubleshoot it. First and foremost, take off this panel so you can get to this side and locate this black pressure hose right here. You're going to remove the hose from the switch and you're going to blow on it. Don't suck on the hose, blow on it. And you should be able to blow through. And if you can't blow through, you're going to remove the hose from where it connects inside the stove and make sure you can blow through the hose. And if you can, then you locate the area where it connects up onto the feed tube, and with a paper clip, push something through there and try and push the blockage out. Then reconnect your hose and then blow through it again. If it blows through now, reconnect your hose and then restart your stove. This right here is a vacuum switch, and the vacuum switch is sensing the air pressure inside the stove, and when it creates enough low pressure, it closes the diaphragm in this, which connects the power that goes to the feed motor. If you've done all of that and the stove still is not feeding, you're going to want to troubleshoot this hopper lid switch, because the power from the stove comes from the motherboard, it travels up to the hopper lid switch, then it comes back down to the vacuum switch, and then it goes to the feed motor. So here's how you're going to do that. So this is your hopper lid switch right here, and this metal sheet metal box is what protects the switch. What happens is pellets will land on this little flat ledge, and then when you close the switch down, people end up breaking this off. And this needs to be in the closed position in order for the current to get to the auger motor. And when it's up, the circuit is open. To troubleshoot this, you're going to have to remove this switch. The wire that comes up here to this hopper lid switch is removed with these 2 Phillips head screws up here. Before you get into removing this panel, always unplug your stove so you don't get electrocuted. And then, so here is our switch assembly right here, and I don't know if you can see that, but our wires connect right up here into the switch. And what you're going to do is you're going to take these 2 wires and you're going to pull them off of the switch so you can expose them just like this. Now, to troubleshoot this, if you have a jumper cable, you can put a little jumper wire between these 2 contacts and then try to restart the stove. And if it works, then you're going to replace this hopper lid switch. If you don't have a cable, you're going to pull the rubber grommet out of this hole. Come on, you. And then we're going to pass our wires. And then what we're going to do is we're going to isolate the wire that goes up to the hopper lid switch. So to do that, we need to come in here and find the wire that is actually going up to the hopper lid switch and which wire is going over here to the other contact of the vacuum switch. The wire on the outside of this one that is on the top rib of this wire right here, this wire is the one that comes down from the switch. So we just kind of flatten out this wire and we follow the outside rib, kind of turn it so that you're always on the top of it. Follow, 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 and we're going to come to this wire right here. So this end is the one that goes up to the, that returns back down to the switch, and this wire is the one that comes from the control board. So what we're going to do now is the switch, the wire that's on the vacuum switch that goes up, we're going to disconnect that, and then we're going to take our other wire and we're going to connect it to the spade on the vacuum switch. So now the wires that ran up and down, those are isolated and there's no power in them anyway. So the power is going directly up to the vacuum switch and then directly to the feed motor. Start your stove again. And if it works, then you're going to replace the switch. And you can run the stove in this operation until your new switch comes in and you can install it. And then so when you buy a new switch, you're only going to get this black part. You're not going to get this metal part. So you're going to have to reuse that. And so you don't lose any of your screws, what you're going to do is you're going to be a good technician and put your screws back into this metal frame so you don't lose them. Put the other one in like so. Now don't just feed them through these holes up here, because those holes are bigger than the actual screw. They just pass through there. They actually screw into this box. And then to get this switch out, right in here we have pressure clips. So you have to squeeze these together and then push the switch up. And it's easy to do this on one side first. Get one side that kind of lifts up, and then go over to the other side, push that up, and just kind of wiggle while you're squeezing the switch back and forth. There we go. It's one side, and then there we go. That's the other side. Oh, and it went back down on this side, and there we go. So now we've isolated these. You're going to want to keep this, set it aside, and then when you order a new switch, you're going to get this one. When you install this new switch, there's only two contacts to worry about. So the wires that run up to this, just plug them to either one, doesn't matter. And you're going to take your box, and the screws go on the top, so it sets in the hopper this way, and your switch needs to be facing towards the front of the stove when you place it into this box. Alright, and so you're going to just push that new switch down inside like that, and then you'll take your wires. If you did it the other way with a jumper switch, then it's probably still going to be up there. But you'll pull this wire off of there, you'll place that wire back down there. Oh, this is my microphone. Alright, so you'll have your two wires, and then you're going to feed those through the hole that's up here. Pull them out. Feed those through so you can pull them out the back side. You'll connect up your two wires, remove these two screws, and then place the box back down and fasten your two screws back into there, and you're good to go. So one thing about the whole hopper lid switch is sometimes the hopper lid switch is actually good, but this is bad down here. So if you defeat the switch up there and it's still not feeding, and you can verify that this hose is actually not plugged up, all right, then we need to replace this switch right here. And to do that is going to disconnect the wires, disconnect the hose, and then remove the 2 screws that hold it to the mount. When you order a new switch, it may or may not come with a mounting bracket. And if it comes with a mounting bracket, then you're just going to mount it back up. If it does not come with a mounting bracket, then you're going to reuse the mounting bracket that's on the back of this switch. And this bracket can actually be installed in 4 different positions. And if you look at it, you'll see that there's a little yellow mark. And so that yellow mark lets you know where on this switch it was mounted. So you'll basically get your new switch, you'll line them up so that they look the same, and then just mount this so that it's on that little pin right over there.